I'm here to disrupt everything the diet and food industry has told you for years. What if you could stop obsessing over food and weight, understand exactly what your body really needs to thrive, all while learning how to feel empowered, confident, and in control? Hey there, I'm Carrie, a certified nutritionist, award-winning educator, behavioral specialist, international speaker, and mom of two amazing college-age daughters. I'm here to help you disrupt everything the diet industry has told you about your health and your body. So here's the truth. Sure, what we put in our bodies matters, and it's more than just nutrition. As a nutritionist and a behavioral expert, I'm uniquely qualified to marry both the science of what our bodies need along with how to change your relationship with food, and all while realizing your value. I want to help teach you to reach your health, wellness, and yes, even weight loss goals with powerful conversations, science-backed strategies, and real talk. I'll teach you how to break free from the cycle of dieting, deprivation, and self-sabotage and start truly living. No more temporary fixes here, just sustainable wellness for you, your family, and your future that no one is talking about. You were not put on this earth to find the right diet, so it's time to stop living like you were. Join me each and every week as I share practical advice, a fresh perspective on the power of mindset, and tips that empower you to live your purpose, all while still enjoying the foods you love. And yeah, that even includes carbs. So if you want something different, you have to do something different. Consider me your something different. Welcome to the Diet Disruptors Podcast. Well, hey there, Diet Disruptors. I'm excited about this next episode as we dig deep into our series on time management. Now, what I've purposely planned for you have been small mini podcasts, maybe like around 15 minutes over the last few weeks to be able to give you a sense step by step of how to start thinking about time. So time doesn't manage you anymore, but you manage time. And by learning in little bits and pieces, and this is what I do for my clients all the time, then we can kind of marinate on one piece of the bigger picture. Marinate on it for a little while, start to implement, start to think about it, and then learn the next piece and the next piece. And when we layer or stack the learning on top of learning, it starts to stick. It's really my more than 25 years as an educator that has gotten me to really understand how to teach so people actually learn. One of the things that used to frustrate me so much when I was a national educational consultant is when I would work with teachers and I would literally hear things like, well, I taught it. It's not my fault they didn't learn it. And I thought, well, actually, isn't your job as a teacher to ensure people are learning versus just teaching? Because, I mean, then we'll just put them in front of a computer and let them do online learning all the time, right? So I want to ensure that you are learning. So in our first few episodes, we got our heads wrapped around time, what time means, why we need to respect it, and how to look at it in a way that maybe you haven't looked at it as intentionally before. I mean, when are we ever taught this in school? And why, as a nutritionist, am I focused on time management? Well, because there's multiple pieces of the puzzle when it comes to actually a lifestyle. If you want someone to just give you a meal plan, there's plenty of health coaches and nutritionists, even doctors, that will just write down a bunch of stuff that you should eat. That doesn't help you at all in terms of actual life, real life, being able to really understand food and your body. And I say it's like you should be able to do it like Dr. Seuss says, like on a train, on a plane, on a boat, with a moat and a mouse and a house and all of that. And if we are truly living a lifestyle, then it isn't just about the food either. It's about also what I call the 6 spinning plates: nutrition, movement, hydration, managing our sleep, managing our stress, supplementation, all of those pieces of the puzzle we have to be able to tap into. It can't be about something you do. And I think so for so long, women especially, but everybody, they're just like, I need to lose weight. I need to lose weight. I need to lose weight, as if that's just a universal expectation. When in all reality, weight gain and stubborn weight loss is a symptom of something so much more. It's a symptom of our health and our hormones. And if we just keep going after weight loss, like I was just on the train to New York City the other day and I saw an ad for another GLP-1, and it literally was like weight loss made simple, less nausea. And I'm like, what are we doing? Do we care about getting healthy or do we just want to lose weight? Because if you just want to lose weight, then fine, just go after it if you don't care about your health. But I don't think that's true for most people. I just think there's this unwritten understanding that if I lose weight, then I'll be healthy. And the two can be very, very, very different. Think about a patient that loses a lot of weight because they're sick. That doesn't mean they're healthy. And so I want us to be just really thinking differently about what it takes to truly get a hold of our health, because weight loss is a byproduct of a healthy body. An unhealthy body holds on to weight, a healthy body will not. And when we're balancing our blood sugar, then that is such a major step in that direction. But how do we do all the things in the busy life that we have? We can't. And that's why people like end up falling off, right? Because not only are you putting your body very typically at a deficit and restriction and all the things that your body doesn't want to do for a long period of time anyway, unconsciously, but also it's just like it's a lot, right? Working out and food and taking care of ourselves, showing up for ourselves when we have these busy lives and we have to show up for everyone else. So if we can start managing time instead of time managing us, don't you think then we could actually show up for ourselves differently? I will hear women say all the time, I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to do all of those things. It's also selfish. Well, I will say all day long it's selfish not to, but I get it, right? Especially when you have kids or grandkids and you're driving them all over the place or you're watching them. It's like, how do I make the time? Well, it's not just going to happen. You are actually going to make the time. One of my colleagues years and years ago said to me, Carrie, how do you have 30 hours in a day? And I joke, 'cause I'm like, I don't have 30 hours in a day. That's the beautiful thing about time. It's a great equalizer. None of us has 30 hours in a day. We all have the exact same amount of hours to work with. So why is it that some are able to do a whole lot more with those hours than others? Well, it has to do with intentionality, a mindset, a discipline, and an understanding and respect for time. We can always make more money. We cannot make more time. And so let's tap into this next lesson in this mini series. And for the next 2 sessions, it's going to be about what I call the time funnel. The time funnel, I want you to think about a funnel. If you have to go back to college and think about a funnel, do that. But you think about it like an upside down triangle, right? And so if I kind of did that and if this has ever happened to you, you think, oh my gosh, a year went by so fast, right? When I moved to Mexico with my girls back in 2018, I decided to move there for a year. It was crazy. They were in middle school. They were not happy about it. I just decided that they needed to speak Spanish and they weren't going to do it in school. So I literally left my husband. He came and visited us a lot. And we moved to Mexico. And we said, oh my gosh, like the days felt like they went by so slow. But the year, when we look back on it, went by really fast. And isn't that amazing how the years can go by really fast? And you look back and you're like, whoa, how did I get here? Like, how do I have a 20-year-old daughter? It's just like, well, we got to understand the time funnel. So if we think about that funnel and that upside down triangle at the very top where it's the widest, let's talk about those as our years, right? But what are our years made up of? Now, I know intellectually you know this, but I really want us to seep into this. Like, let this like marinate into your soul. Our years are simply made up of our months. So think about we're going down the funnel, right? The year is at the widest, and then it gets a little bit more and more narrow, and then we are at our months. And what are our months made up of? Well, our months are made up of weeks. Remember those dolls? What were those called? Those dolls that folded into one another, those wooden babushka dolls, I think maybe. This is like what this is, right? It all folds into one another. And so the years are just formed from months, and months are simply formed from weeks. And we keep going down this funnel and we go narrower and narrower. The weeks are formed from days, and days are formed from hours. And I always joke that I saw this meme on Instagram once that said, adulthood is like saying next week things will get better. Next week things will get less crazy. Next week things will come down every single week until I die. And we aren't a victim of that, but we don't understand the time funnel because we just keep thinking next week and next week and next, the Monday and the next day and the whatever. And we got to take advantage and understand that the time is now. And how we spend our days is going to translate into how we spend our years. So if you think one day I'm going to go lose the weight or get healthy, well, if you're not doing the things today, you're never going to find one day. And little things add up. So I am all about 1%. And if you haven't followed me on Instagram yet, you got to go follow me on Instagram. I am there every single morning teaching at 1% a day, live on Instagram, 6:45 in the morning Eastern time, unless I'm in Colorado, and then 6:45 Mountain time. And I am teaching 1% a day, a different daily declaration to work on your empowered mindsets because it really truly adds up. I think about a snowflake. One snowflake doesn't do anything, but a few hours of snowing, it could shut down an entire state, 1% at a time. Today's episode is brought to you by Resist Protein Bars. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, yes, of course, you want to be eating clean, whole, unprocessed food as much as possible, but also we're busy, right? And so we have to still be able to fuel our body in a way that it loves. And protein bars are often a really good source of fueling. However, the problem is there's so many ones on the market that either spike your blood sugar uncontrollably or they're filled with all sorts of nasty ingredients. And to be honest with you, most of them are both. That's why I love Drew and Emily, two women who decided they were going to crack the code on how you can produce a protein bar that not only tastes great, but also has wonderful ingredients and won't spike your blood sugar. Think about the name Resist, like insulin resistance. Blood sugar balance is what they are all about. I love that they are a company of women that also are a company that cares about what we put in our body. So if you are interested to try as a great meal replacement to one of your PFC meals, check out eatresist.com and use the code PFC315 to get 15% off. So let's take a look at this time funnel and really think about how we're going to take this concept and use it intentionally. Well, one of the things that I have been doing for years and years is really researching and respecting time. And I have developed a planner pad ritual, if you will. I have tried every single planner there is out there. I have invested more on planners than I probably have in like my college education. And for literally the last 30 years, I have done nothing but buy planners. I was obsessed with it in high school all the way up in college and grad school and then all of my life. And I have so many of those spiral bound planners, any kind of bound planner. And it's been in the last, I would say, 6 years where I really believe that I have perfected the whole planner system. Because what I realize is nobody really takes into account the time funnel or the convenience. I am sorry, but the most beautiful planner in the world, if I have to carry it with me, I just don't do it. And so I used to love having it at my desk, but I am mobile. We're all mobile, especially if we're busy moms and running around. Those planners are not doing anything for us. And how many times have you saved planners and how many times have you actually gone back and looked at them? It's a tool to be able to be intentional every single day, but it is not worth spending the time to go back necessarily. I do in one area. So today we're going to talk about the monthly, weekly part of the planner system that I teach, because at the very, very, very beginning of every month, I go month by month. Now, at the beginning of the year, I do think about what do I want to say I have accomplished or I did by the end of the year. And that's really important for me. It's not goal setting, but when I look ahead at the year, I'm like, okay, what do I want to be able to say I did by the end of that year? And if I have those things down, I know I need to be actively working in some area of those big things every month. So at the beginning of every month, I have my monthly planner pad. Now, what does that mean? Well, at Disruptive Nutrition, which is my private practice, I published and developed a series of planner pads. Now, do you need to have this to make this work? No, but it is a great system to have. So you can just go to disruptivenutrition.com and go check it out at the shop. Or you can go into my Instagram and go to my link in bio and find it. We'll put it in the show notes as well. I love our planner pad system because it's a rip off. When I rip off the planner pad, then I can take it with me everywhere and I'm not carrying around this big book. So I have two planner pads. One I'm going to talk about this week, and then the next one I'm going to talk about in the next episode. But the first one is the monthly, weekly one. Now, again, you can do this in your own planner, but I love being able to rip it off. And then I just have a sheet of paper in front of me. It's blank on the back, and I take notes all month long. I have this planner pad sheet with me every single day at the beginning of my morning time. And what I do at the beginning of every month is I take a look at that month. And just like I ask myself, what do I want to say I did or I accomplished or who I was by the end of the year? I ask myself that question. By the end of this month, what do I want to be able to say I have done? And I think about my businesses, I think about my personal life, my family life, my home, those kinds of things. And I write down those quote unquote goals, if you will. It's just sort of that vision casting for me, whether you want to call it a goal or not. But it is just the question I ask myself, what do I want to say I did by the end of this month? And then I actually fill out the month. I write in the monthly planner. What are the things that I know I have? What are my big trips? And I'm not going down to the minutia of minutes. I have things in my Google Calendar, right? I always put stuff in my Google Calendar. So I pull out my Google Calendar at the beginning of the month and I'm like, okay, what are the big things? When am I going on trips? When's my husband traveling? When are my kids going to be home? Like just sort of the big things that I know are already existing in that month. And then I'll also jot down what are the things I know I need to do this month. It might not be goals, but I know I need to get the dogs groomed, something like that. I know I need to change my flower boxes over. I wouldn't necessarily consider those like big goals. It's just sort of like tasks to keep the house running. And then on the side of our planner pad, we have 4 columns, one for each week of the month. Again, you can do this on your own if you don't want to go and grab a planner pad. But the 4 weeks signify the knowledge of the time funnel. The months, all they are a compilation of 4 weeks, sometimes 5, depending on the month. So on that first Sunday of the month, or on the first of the month, really, I'm doing my monthly plan. And then I lay out my plan for the first week of the month. If I look at those things that I wrote down and it says, okay, what do I want to say I did by the end of the month? Well, then what do I have to do in that first week of the month? And so I typically don't write out anything in the other weeks beyond just that first week. Sometimes I may know how I'm going to build out a project and maybe I'll jot down some stuff for like week 2 or week 3 or week 4. But mostly I'm like, okay, what's the first thing I know I need to get done this week to be able to make my dream for the month a reality? And so I take that first column and I just write out, okay, what do I need to do for disruptive nutrition? What do I need to do for PFC3, the business I have where I train health pros? What do I need to do for Zyve, our product line? What do I need to do for my Airbnb business? What do I need to do for home, for personal, that kind of stuff? And so I just kind of jot that out on week 1. And that's my planning at the beginning of the month. It doesn't take long, but it is so intentional. And that's the first thing I have my clients do. And we do that for a month. We don't go any deeper than that. We just really look at, okay, what do I say I want to do that week? Now, I am such a stickler on morning time. So if you are not following me on Instagram, do that and just take this first step where you're really front of mind. What do I want to say I did by the end of the month? What do I want to say I did by the end of this week? And you have that in front of you. And then when you have morning time each day, you can just take a look at that and be like, okay, how am I going to be intentional about this stuff? This is the beginning of the time funnel. What we focus on grows. What we don't water will not. So if we can just start to focus on time and allow ourselves the mindset that I'm going to manage this sucker versus it managing me, this is your first step. And I have done this for decades with people. This is how people say, I have 30 hours in a day. I know where my time is. It's a little bit like a budget, right? I need to know where my money is going. I need to make my money work for me. I need to make my days work for me. So in the next episode, I'm going to talk more about the time funnel and we are going to get deeper into our days. But for right now, I want you to think about, okay, what do I want to say I did by the end of the month? And if you're listening to this on a day where it's like the second week of the month, don't think you have to wait until the end of the month to be able to start this. It could be 1 week left of the month. It doesn't matter. By the end of this month, what do I want to say I did, regardless of how much time you have left? Because it allows you just to get your toe in the water and start doing this. So be prepared for the next episode where we're going to dig into the days. But as we visit the time funnel, I've got you in your month and your weeks, and let's keep going. Now, what I want you to do is I'd love for you to write a review on the podcast, wherever you're listening. If you're listening on Spotify or wherever, Apple Podcasts, write a review for me. I want to know how you're taking these time management little mini lessons and what you're doing as a result of it. So promise me that. Go leave a review. And I can't wait to be able to tap into the next part of the time funnel.